Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Casual Mode. I'm Adam and today we are taking a look at Romancing SaGa 3. This is a Squaresoft RPG that originally released for the Super Famicom back in 1995 in Japan, but it never received an English release at the time. However, Square Enix re-released the game in 2019 for pretty much every platform. The SaGa series, while it's one of Square's longest running series, it's not as well known as some of their bigger franchises, so I wanted to take a look at this classic. Joining me today are Brian Vitale.
Hello.
George Foster.
Hello.
Xiaomin Wu.
Hey.
And James Galizio.
Hey, folks. All right, so what are we doing here?
In Romancing SaGa 3, and this is not true for all Romancing SaGa games, but for a good number of them, you have a set of characters you can choose from. And so there's 8 different characters in Romancing SaGa 3. They all have a unique opening sequence and some slight changes throughout the game, but otherwise the primary storyline of the game doesn't really change at all. It just kind of affects how the game opens and what characters are available to you to some small extent. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Ellen.
Yeah, there's lots of hidden status parameters. You don't know if you start with the mercenary Kajita, was his name. It's he has the highest greed meter, so if you become a scumbag, you can't do much of a side quest with him anymore.
Yeah, so you're talking about the greed counter, which is it's not really a big component in the game, but it is present, where sometimes if you ask for money when you do quests and stuff, people can dislike you and people will dislike him faster than anyone else. So the game just sort of opens with 4 of the characters here running away from goblins.
So if you pick any of the 4 of this set, this is where you start.
Yep. So there's 8 characters that you play as and are basically the 8 main characters of the game. This is Monica, who is a princess, and her brother is basically the crown prince, but his advisor or retainer is going to overthrow him, and she's looking for help.
Maybe you should have started with Katarina. I mean, she's the only playable character in her own route, you know?
Yeah.
So 4 of them start together, and the other 4 are kind of their own things.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Charles Manor.
Yeah, a little bit.
Vaguely.
In SaGa Frontier Remaster, which comes out soon, I've never played it. I'm really interested to it, but I know that also has 8 playable characters. From what I understand, the storylines are actually a little bit more unique there. So Julian is the green-haired guy. He's basically like a Han Solo. Thomas is the other guy. He's kind of like a nice rich guy. He's rich, but he's not a douchebag.
Kind of looks like Seven.
Yeah, he does. Then there's Ellen and Sarah. They're kind of like country folk girls. Sarah's the younger sister. Ellen's the older sister. And then Khalid is the black guy sitting at the counter there.
Well, that's the guy we were talking about earlier with the high greed counter.
Mm-hmm. He's a mercenary.
I think he starts with the highest status attributes, I think.
He's the most experienced member. I'm going to kind of click through the dialogue pretty quickly. I'm sure you can read it, get the gist.
But basically, the princess showed up asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
If you play some of the other characters, it shows their point of view of escaping the castle before they got here. So
yeah.
That's always cool.
So 6 of the 8 characters are here. Mikhail's not here. He's Monica's brother, the prince, and Katarina's not here, who's the bodyguard. You'll see him later.
So Monica's one of the 8.
Yeah. The only character on the screen that's not one of the 8 characters is the bartender.
Playable bartender.
No, he's...
New Game Plus.
Nope. So basically, they have to get Monica back to her brother to try to tell him that people want to overthrow him.
I think the thing that annoys me the most is the bard. He always joins my party, and I just like want to talk to him for information. He just
Yeah.
joins my party. You just can't get rid of him.
That's actually kind of an interesting point that the bard character is like the only thing that actually ties together the Romancing Saga games. And it's sort of written in a way, some of them anyways, where it's like this is a tale that he's telling. Sort of like his travels kind of thing.
I kind of like that. We're like, we don't really want these games to be connected into some like mega anthology, so we'll just kind of put this little seed here that kind of is the common tether between them.
All right.
So
First dungeon
are
time?
you starting with new game plus stats, or are you starting
This
raw?
is a brand new. I'm going to probably load up a new game plus file soon here, but I wanted to start off just as is. So I have 6 characters. If you played any Saga game, or at least a couple of them, some of this might look familiar to you. You can set formations, and they have different effects. So this one raises my speed. I have 5 characters in the battle party, and then Monica is my 6th character, and she's just kind of sitting in the back there, but she won't participate. I think everyone's equipment is already set. So like, Ellen uses axes and also martial arts. Julian's a swordsman. Sarah is magic and bow. Thomas is bow and spear, and also magic. Khalid is sword and spear, and they all have certain skills that they can use.
So I know obviously there's a few cutscenes there, but all told, we're a few minutes in, and you've got a 5-person, 6-person party and a dungeon. Like, not a large wind-up.
Yep. All right. So here's the
Now,
battle
their weapon
scene.
types aren't like they're not like fixed. Like you can change them around, right?
Yes and no.
No.
So like different characters can spark skills for different weapon types easier than other weapon types. For example, Ellen is good at axes and martial arts. If you give her a sword, she can use it, but she won't spark skills as well. Oh, so sparking is that. Did you see that? You might be wondering.
I
what
came
that
pretty
is.
fast. Sometimes it takes a
Yeah,
couple
but-
battles for that to show up.
So this is a common element of Saga games. Another one. Where characters can learn skills on the fly, and it's indicated by a little like light bulb icon, like haha. And now
And
they
usually
can.
the more dangerous the battle is, the higher the chance to learn it usually.
Yep. So if you're fighting like a boss, you have a high chance of learning a new skill.
Then when you get killed, then you lost all those skills, and you'll be like, oh shit.
I'm sparking a lot of skills.
Die. And I guess one thing that's kind of apparent here, if you weren't paying attention, is that it's round-based. Like you make all your selections at once, and then it plays out.
Also, do you see that little green thing, like the green stuff all over the whole screen? So this is just a minor element of the game. The battlefield can be basically encompassed by an element, and right now it's wind element. And what that means is if you have like a wind element like armor, or if you're fighting a wind element enemy, they will regain health every turn. And also, I believe it affects power of certain abilities. But that'll change. So that, if you're wondering why that like overlay,
Yeah,
pops up
I
here or
was, to be
there,
fair.
yeah, it changes.
Why is
So
there snot on the screen?
Yeah, exactly.
And the
Probably
thing is,
if you
it
get
never
it.
actually tells you. Like, it has no instructions of telling you these things. You
Yeah,
just gotta
so
figure it out.
that's the thing with Saga games, is that especially the earlier ones, maybe some of this was explained in maybe like a paper manual, but there's a lot of elements that are not explained. You kind of just have to figure them out. First boss.
Hey, are we ready for this? By we, I mean you.
I don't know, honestly. Let's try it. I don't know if I can. So Shadow Weave can do paralysis. I'll try to paralyze him. Damn it. Sarah!
My first boss shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
That one kind of looks like it's animated different. Like in my eyes.
Well, in
messing
the
with it.
original version, they're just like a flat image. So in
They're
this remaster, they made it animated for the bosses.
Oh yeah,
Huh.
so it's not like it's the sort of animation where they animate like individual parts of the sprite and then they sort of like stretch them, rotate them. So it's maybe it looks a little bit awkward, but I think it's...
It looks like squishy, like it's made of Jello or something.
Stop missing Sarah.
It looks like a puppet. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know when you have like a puppet and you're moving like individual limbs, and like
Right.
it kind of looks like it's moving.
I'm
So
basically just using their strongest skills.
what are some of these abilities you're picking? Just like
Artful Slash is just a
more
strong
damage,
skill. I'm trying to get Ellen to.
She can only punch.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her to spark a martial arts skill. I can do a knee split, which might stun him. I'll try it.
Usually, the weaker the skill, it has a higher chance of sparking to like different trees.
Oh yeah, I paralyzed him. There we go.
I think like the stronger skill just doesn't spark at all. I think up to like the third or the second skill, you can still spark from there.
So yeah, obviously
So
early in the
element of
game,
randomness.
obviously early in the game, your level of what you can do in your strategy is a little bit more simple, but it gets more complex. Stop. Aha, there we go. Oh, she learned the healing one. It's like
So when they
one
spark
heal.
it, they immediately use it.
Stop missing.
That's extremely useful because Saga games just doesn't have much healing options, so you gotta make the best use of it.
Just
Where's their
gotta be almost
HP?
there.
Is it on the right there when you're selecting?
oh yeah,
your
I should
skill?
show you that. Thomas.
I just see like how much health does people have? I don't know.
Okay, so it gives me like an
There
update
they are.
in between every round. So what that is they have like that's 70 out of 70 HP, 114 out of 114 HP, and whatnot. Now the bottom number, you might notice it says 10 for each character. So that's actually life points. And life points are basically each character can fall in battle only 10 times, and then they're not lost forever, but you have to. They basically reset from 0 at that point. But you can heal that back up to 10 by sleeping in an inn. So basically, if your life points are getting low, make sure you stop in an inn.
So when you're doing abilities and it says cost, what is that?
Oh, that's a SP. So Julian has 6 SP.
Oh, so that's
none-
what that number is. Okay.
Yeah, none of these abilities cost SP.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
Shadow
split
Wave
between
cost
two
1.
values.
Yeah, there's
One's
HP,
mag-
LP, and SP. HP is health, LP is life points, SP is skill points. Stop. And there's also MP, which is magic points. No magic yet. She's gotta be almost dead.
Like I think in the Japanese version, it was like WP and JP. WP as in like weapon points, and JP as in Jitsu point, like skill points. I think so. It's just renamed to SP.
Yeah, and also that's actually a really important thing to mention. Saga games do not have traditional levels. Instead, each character's like ability with their various weapons are their levels, and I'll show you that as soon as I beat this guy. He actually did most damage to Ellen, but Ellen healed herself, so I'm doing pretty well. There we go.
Finally, there he goes.
Carried by them.
So see how it says HP increased? So like after each battle you have a chance of getting stat ups, and she got bow level up, so she'll now do more damage with bows. HP increase. Spear and short sword, which have the same like stat, that leveled up, so now he'll do more damage with spears and short swords. So it's this sort of it's this exercise use of how characters get stronger. Like the more they use a certain weapon type, the better they get at it, and that is their level. And I'll show you that in a minute. And see how it's saying like you acquired stuff. So Way of Focus was the skill that Ellen learned, and what that means is she sparked Way of Focus, and then we acquired it. Those both have small chances of happening, but we got it in the same battle. All right, I'll tell you that in a minute. Hold that thought. We finally ran into Mikhail, who is Monica's brother.
So much thinking.
I mean, I think the PlayStation games are probably the most easiest, most accessible in my opinion. These ones are still kind of obtuse, I would say.
So basically, Mikhail and Khalid are going to fight Godwin's army, who's Godwin's the guy who wants to basically usurp him. And Monica and the other 4 are going to basically take refuge at Count Leonid's castle, and Count Leonid is a vampire. They just exist. No questions
So
asked.
you picked Ellen at the start, but it's not really her story yet.
Yeah, it won't really ever be, to be honest.
Oh, really? Huh.
hmm It's a little different. Like if I were to pick Julian, you would do this section and then you do a different section with Julian later, but it changes like a few small things. But otherwise, like the main story is pretty much the same no matter who you pick.
I guess that sort of like makes sense that obviously there's going to be overlap between the stories if there's going to be 8 selectable characters. To expect 8 completely distinct narratives would be kind of
There's
silly.
some small dialogue changes. Like you wouldn't get this dialogue between Ellen and Sarah there.
Oh, the 2 sisters, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, for the sake of time, I'm actually going to load into a New Game Plus file here.
You've pre-prepared it in the oven.
Yeah.
Not if you
basically.
save over his file by accident.
Yeah. This one. All right. So remember where it said she learned Way of Focus? So what that means is I could give that skill to any character. And so in once you learn a skill, you can go to the skill menu and basically teach it to any other character. So Way of Focus is a martial skill, and there it is. So in New Game Plus, I have like unlocked most of the skills. So if you have one character like acquire it, if you have one character acquire it, you can give it to anyone else, and so that really helps in terms of like flexibility of your party. But anyways, now I'm in a powered up group, just for sake of time for the recording. And we're going to Count Leonid's castle to basically take refuge.
But you don't carry everything over to New Game Plus, right? You carry your skills over, but your HP resets.
You carry skills. You do not carry HP over. That's which is why my HP is low. In fact, I should probably.
But
just
I
do a
think you do
couple of
carry your
battles.
JP or SP over, was it?
Yeah, you do
So
carry
you-
SP. Like now I have 137 SP.
That's a very great.
Yeah. So now everyone is a lot stronger, and also just oh, he probably died. No. Really,
So it's not always a cakewalk just because you're on New Game Plus.
well, it's HP is the only thing that doesn't carry over, so he just got one shot. So I should probably do a couple battles just to get their HP up. Also, I need to change my formation, I think.
But like
Right.
the idea of New Game Plus is not just a reward for the player. It's you can use this to pick another story you want to see.
Yep.
Without starting over completely from scratch. So it's kind of like deliberate in that way.
So now
So
I have
only
a
the
bunch of
boss
skills.
monsters really like move a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna have Ellen to do one of the best martial arts skills because it's fun.
And you're playing this on a PC, right?
Oh yeah. There you go. All right.
He's too rich to even carry money now.
Yep. By the way, also
No,
this is my New Game Plus file where I've kind of trained everyone up as a martial artist, so that's why I'm always having everybody punch now.
That-
Well,
Is that just
was that just to save money on equipment?
Partially, but also like
I'm just gonna say, like,
martial arts aren't affected by like weapon stats. So like if I wanted to do sword abilities, I have only weak swords right now, but that doesn't factor in for martial arts.
they usually have the best skills at the end. They have a slow startup, but once you get to the end, their skills are better than vastly all the other weapons in the game usually.
I mean, there
so they don't
are
have to equip anything on their hand slots?
there are some really good abilities on other weapons. It's just kind of like if you're being lazy, martial arts are kind of really useful. It's something you can only really abuse in New Game Plus anyway. Here's the town of Todoroi, but I'm gonna just go up to the mansion, which is a little bit up this way.
I don't know how cleaned up this is, but it looks really nice. Like that
It's
city
definitely a
especially.
better
I was
sprite
just gonna
style.
say the same, yeah.
It's definitely a better sprite style than like Final Fantasy 5 and 6 on PC. So here's Count Leonid's castle.
And what made them decide to hang out with the vampire again?
This is Mikkel's friend.
Okay. He's just chummy with the
He's
vampire.
allies with a vampire, okay?
hmm So the vampire castle actually is a dungeon later, but not yet. So you come back here.
Does the vampire betray you?
Now this part of the opening is a little bit awkward. Basically I just have to explore a cave for a bit. And then
You see, like, there's like no instructions. It just kind of tells you, hey, you could go to this this cave in the north side to get some treasure while you're at it, you know?
So here's the world map to the game. Right now I have 2 locations open. Porterui Cave. There are a bunch of other sections of the map. There's literally nothing on yet. Those will be filled out as you play the game. More on that later.
But yeah, you're basically just collecting rumors to like go to like random places to explore.
Yep. You know, I'll show you some of the other abilities. Build them now, why not?
It
So,
definitely seems like an Adam game to me. Like it seems very like experimentative and like figure it out yourself. No wiki guide, stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know which of these abilities is gonna. They're probably gonna. Oops.
Are you just like picking random ones or what?
I'm just picking cool ones. It doesn't really matter what I do. You're gonna die. I need HP anyway.
I like the jump twirl more than the just flap your arms like Final Fantasy VI style.
Yeah. So these are some.
And maybe
late
this is
game
obvious,
abilities.
but like it is also kind of cool that the monster, it's not quite random battles. You can kind of choose.
Oh right, yeah. And that's not new to the remaster either. Super bow attack.
Why is it called Millionaire?
I'm not sure. It's called that in the other Saga games too.
I think it's supposed to be a pun because it's like Millionairos, millionaire.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, now I get it.
I'm just gonna go back to punching just for the sake of time because it's fast. Punch. Even
Now you just need a turbo mode that's coming at Sega Frontier.
Yep, Saga Frontier is getting a turbo mode. This game did not. It got some other additions. Punch.
Punch.
Obviously, the first time you're playing through the game, it's more like how I started this video rather than this, but I believe I just need to pick up a few chests and then leave. Wheat. Money. Yay. Yay.
I like how it's so jubilant.
That also changes depending on the character. So
that's
elements
kinda
have
cool.
sweet and yay. Other people are just like, interesting. 500 gold. Well, I think I have to change my formation again because Khalid left.
I don't think so. Did you adjust the position? If you run and charge into enemy,
Yeah.
it breaks your formation.
I know. Oh no, it did.
Yeah, I think you probably ran into the enemy, so that's why the formation broke.
Mhm. But yeah, the Romancing Saga games always had like icons on the screen. In earlier games, they were actually kind of still not implemented very well. Like there would be tons of icons in claustrophobic rooms, but here it's a little better. Pick up a few chests. Yay.
So it's not like there's no story, but it's very story light. Like you're already like in your third quote unquote dungeon type area with only a few cutscenes kind of interspersed.
And we haven't really
between
even gotten to the meat of the game yet, which will take just another like 5 minutes here.
So it's kind of like a very brisk pace to it.
Yep.
How long is it like overall?
I'd say
That's generalizing like a first playthrough,
I would say a character playthrough. The thing is, once you get to the meat of the game, it's very open-ended, and so you can spend a lot of time just kind of wandering and exploring. But I would say, roughly 30 hours, maybe 20 to 30.
Yeah, that's not too
For a
far.
playthrough.
But then like as you play through other characters in New Game Plus, it's a little bit faster if you wanted to see other stories.
Yeah. Monica.
That one shot.
Yeah. I'm not really worried about them like losing all their life points. I'd have to have them fall like 10 times for that to be a problem. Sweet.
So do they always? Is this like Final Fantasy 13 or so? I don't know why that's the one that comes to mind, where everyone starts every battle with max health.
Oh, I'm surprised that I'm kind of embarrassed.
Yeah,
that
you
mentioned
do
that already.
actually.
Yeah, a lot of Saga games are like that actually, where your health is replenished at the beginning of every battle. So if you don't have to worry about health in between battles, it's just in a battle.
I prefer that personally. Obviously, I'm kind of bad at RPGs sometimes, but
I think obviously sometimes it's good to, in my opinion, have to balance like the long-term attrition of saying like, do I have enough potions or whatever to get through this dungeon because I'll have to use them between battles.
Yeah, like resource management.
Yeah, but I'm glad that it's not, prescriptively all one or all the other. Just have some games, depending on how they're made, focus it one way or the other.
But then I think of times like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I'd finish a battle like towards the end of the game. I'm like, okay, time to keep pressing the item to keep drinking potions, and I'd find that really annoying.
Alright, I think this is the last battle I need to do before I escape this place. I like the enemy sprites. I don't know if we'll see any more, but there are some really cool boss sprites too.
Kind of reminds me of the Splatterhouse sprites. I feel like every time I mention something, I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of that. It's like some really vague reference. It's like East reminds me of that
I can see like comparing this obviously to SNES Final Fantasy or whatever, but then George comes in like Splatterhouse.
I lied, one more battle. Still raising that HP. Alright. And
learn to
HP
talk
raises pretty quickly early on, but then slows down.
Still like how that town looks. I'd live there.
By the way, these games are composed by Kenji Ito, who is a longtime Square Enix composer. I don't know if he's like a Square Enix employee, but he's done a lot of the Saga games. I remember it's kind of funny, there was a trailer for Saga Frontier Remastered, and I remember some commenter was like, oh, Uematsu is so great. Like, no, that's Kenji Ito. Similar style, maybe. Yeah, he did the soundtrack on Saga Scarlet Grace, so he's been at it for a long time. He's also done other
Mana games too.
Yeah, he's done some of the Mana games. He did like Devil Survivor 2 on DS and 3DS. So not always just Square Enix stuff, but he's been around a long time. Does great stuff.
So I've played Saga Scarlet Grace once as like my only Saga game. And like it took a long time to get through that game once, like 60 hours. I don't know if I was just really slow. So I never really replayed it to play through that game's other characters.
That game's probably a little bit better with having the route to be a bit more different than this one is, but considering this is like the first attempt at it more than 20 years ago, I think it's pretty good.
So Romancing Saga 1 and 2 did not organize themselves that way.
So basically, the coup has ended, and now if you would have played as Mikhail or Khalid, you would have seen that, but we didn't.
Huh.
And the 8 characters in this room are the 8 playable characters, and the one you didn't meet before is Katarina. She's the purple-haired girl. That's Monica. She's wearing a different outfit now, because she's a princess.
Okay, maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but what is she thanking them for? Oh, because the coup ended. So wasn't that I wasn't thinking? Yeah, okay, I get it.
They were protecting her. They were her bodyguard, basically. Even if all it was is just like, protect me at this vampire castle. And we went to exploring a cave while we were at it. So
hey, a vampire castle would be like the perfect place to be protected, I'd say.
So Katarina is actually a really popular character, but the weird thing is that she kind of doesn't intersect with the other stories too much. A little bit with Mikhail's, but
she is the most played character. If anybody look at a poll in the Japanese wiki, they ask you which is the first character you start with. It's always Catalina.
And you'll never see her again. That's all she shows up for, like Ellen's route. All right. So if you notice,
so you can't get her in your party or anything.
So if you notice, we basically got a reward. We basically got a reward for saving the princess, and then the game just kind of throws me into a city. And that's what Saga games do sometimes. It's just throwing me in front of the pub. Go to the pub.
Pub.
Mm-hmm.
So right
Sarah,
now you don't
Julian.
have.
I don't have any story. I don't have any story front. Right now, the game, there's nothing happening. Right, it's just kind of wander and explore and talk to people.
I have never started with Ellen, but in Julian's path, he has to go with Monica to guard with her. So
No, I didn't actually mean to. I didn't actually mean to click that.
Wait,
No.
what did you do?
I made Sarah mad. I think actually I might be able to get her.
I actually kind of like that though, where that guy asks you a yes or no question, and it's not just like decline until you
there's
decide
that
to come back
reference.
and accept. It actually matters.
So Julian's gonna go with Monica.
becomes Adol in this game.
Mm-hmm. Here's Khalid.
There's not a lot of dialogue, but there's some like flavor and
Mm-hmm.
I was
what
thinking
what
that,
is
yeah.
there.
The canned response thing, I was like, that's kind of, that's not too traditional. It's kind of cool.
I actually didn't do this before when I played as Ellen. Like I had Khalid join my party instead of Sarah and Thomas, so it's a little different. So I'm in the town of.
So even within a single like character's branch, things can unfold differently.
So I'm in the I was in the town of Lowen, which is Mikhail's castle city. Mules is the port city nearby. If I go here, I can recruit the minstrel. Right here.
No, don't talk to him.
Yeah, I don't want to.
He doesn't
joins
even
your
give you
party-
the option that that you want.
This is
Oh,
also
and this one-
this is also a recruitable character, but I don't want her. No.
And she gives you a different name every
Yep.
time you talk to her.
Yep. All right.
So there's 8 playable, choosable protagonists, and then beyond that, several other characters you can
Yeah.
recruit.
I usually always go for the vampire girl. I'm trying to remember her name.
I'd help, but I don't know.
So we're going to the city of Zweig on Khalid's kind of suggestion. But if I would have gone with Thomas, I would have gone to Bedonia first. I didn't actually go this route before. I mean, in the end, it doesn't ultimately doesn't matter, but kind of a different order you do things. So basically, I'm going to just show you a few of the events that can happen around the world in the game. Now that basically things have opened up and you can kind of go anywhere in any direction. And like I said, I'm going a different direction this time than I did last time I played as Ellen. All right, so I'm in Zweig.
So I know we're like half an hour in, and we've already covered quite a lot of ground.
Once you just understand the basic of Saga games, it's just like that. You just do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's definitely not the type of game to really hold your hand and tell you need to go here, you need to do this. It really expects you to just wander, talk to people, have stuff will happen as you explore, and it's cool, I think. I really like it a lot. All right, so I went to Pedonia now, and this is where Thomas went. I actually know where to find him. So let me go actually to the world map right now. So I've been playing this game, so I know where stuff is. So here is Podoroy Cave. There's Zweig. So like once you've gone to a place once, you can kind of warp there at any other time. So it actually gets it. Once you've been to it, once you kind of figure out how to get to a place, revisiting it is actually really trivial. So here's Lowen and Mules. And in fact, let me show you this. So I don't really have much of a story impetus right now, except Khalid said he wanted to go to Zweig. But if you just talk to NPCs, you'll hear things about like what's going on. So like I'm in the town that's Mikhail's castle, so they're talking about what went on with the coup here. But when you talk to NPCs, you can sometimes learn about new locations or new events that are happening. Like for example, if you go into here and talk to this old guy, I always wanted to climb the peak of Mount Tapton to the southeast of Lowen. Thick fog always denied me. And now, if I leave the city, there's mountains here.
That's kind of cool.
So you talk to people and you can unlock different, basically areas that you can visit, and you can pretty much do it in whatever order you want. Now, I only have 2 people in my party, so I'm going to try to recruit a few more. I think Thomas's house is... Nope, I don't want Here. So I knew this was Thomas's house. He lives in Padonia. Again, Thomas is the rich guy, so he's got like a butler. So the other main characters that you don't pick, they will appear in the world in various places, and you kind of have to find them. Now, not every main character can recruit every other main character. Like you mentioned before, Katarina actually cannot be recruited. If you want her in your party, you have to have her as your main character. But otherwise, the rest can just be found in the world. Anyways, so here is Sarah. She went off with Thomas, and now I can just add her to my party. I guess she is very forgiving that I kind of sold her off before.
So much for that argument, right?
Yeah. And now, so I could have gone to Zweig and done a little like story thing there with Khalid, but now I noticed that Thomas said he wanted to do something with his grandfather. I think what happens if you like enter buildings and leave them, you'll see Thomas walking around. You can kind of follow him around. There's shops. I don't need to buy anything, but each town has shops that you can buy armor and stuff in. So Thomas went this way. I know he's in here. So what this is basically is this is a little like mini story that involves a character named Muse and a character named Charles, and like kind of some orphans that they look over. And this leads to other events in the game. I think eventually you do have to do this story at some point, but just because I'm doing it, the very first thing I kind of stumbled into doesn't mean it's going to be the first thing that everyone stumbles across. Although it's really early, although it is one of the events that's pretty easy to stumble across. But that's kind of what this game is structured like, in that it's an open world, kind of go in whatever direction and talk to people and explore. And then you'll run into various storylines like this one. And if you weren't paying attention to the dialogue there, one of the children named Mitch got lost in this very, safe-looking castle. I bet the children will be taken care of here. Joking. Doesn't look like a safe place for kids. Yeah. So besides the 8 characters that you can play the game with to start, you can recruit, I believe, 20 others. And Charles actually joined my party, and he's gonna die. He just took a big hit. So if you have a party of 5, and there's like 20 something characters you can choose from, there's a lot of different like party makeups you can have. So my strategies playing through the game might be very different from someone else's, depending on what characters they run into and who they recruit. And sometimes various storylines like this one will have, a character join just for a while. So I have Charles with me right now. We're going to save Mitch. Actually, I need to change my formation again. I like the wed. I believe I want to go this way. But yeah, this is a good example of one of like the dungeon areas you can find in this game. And for now, you only just enter it very briefly to save the kid here. But then you'll come back to this dungeon later, and it's of course a lot more enemies, a lot more puzzles and bosses and things like that. Look at these enemies. They're like orc. They're like orc tornadoes.
They look like babies.
Maybe. They have those puffy cheeks. Here's Mitch, who got lost. Or not Mitch, it's the other girl. So if you've played Saga Scarlet Grace, it's similar in kind of philosophy in that after you get past like the opening section of the game, which in Saga Scarlet Grace is 4 characters rather than 8, you can kind of just go in different directions and just see what happens depending on which way you go. And yeah, there are certain events that must take place, after other events. So there's some, sequences here and there that have, a timeline of this happens first, this happens second. But there's a lot of events that just kind of just manifest depending on which way you explore and how you talk to people and how you approach things. So it's very freeform. And that also does mean that enemies in these games do scale up with you. I just saved Gon was his name. Which is
So I imagine in like a world
Right.
of like no guides or anything, this game would just be like nuts. Like now, obviously, going into you'd be like, oh, okay, like I want to find this quest. I want to do like I want to
There's
min
lots of,
max
like-
stuff like that.
There's lots of guides for this game, but I don't think they're like adequate. I think that's how I would say it.
There's actually a big like blog spot for Romancing Saga 3 that that's pretty detailed with all the different events. Now, luckily, I don't think really anything is like very missable, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, if you don't do this event right here, right now, you're going to miss it forever. So that's kind of nice. You can kind of just explore and know that you can always do something later. And here's another event with a blacksmith that I just ran into. And what he's going to tell me is basically that the blacksmith's master worked for a being called the matriarch, and she's giving you a little bit of lore here about like the matriarch closing the abyss gates. And that's kind of how the actual storyline of this game eventually emerges, is that you get these bits and pieces of lore from the different events that you do. And what you ultimately end up learning is that there's like this event that happens every 300 years with these abyss gates, and the previous time it happens, a hero called the matriarch basically sealed it, but now it's happening again. And there's some other twists here and there throughout, but it's not really like the story isn't given to you in like a big exposition dump like all at once or delivered by characters. It just kind of comes in bits and pieces, and you put them together as you explore. So I actually just added Nora to my team.
It really does move fast, doesn't it? Like as a
Yeah.
game. Obviously, you know what you're doing. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if you can. I'm trying to remember like what else, what other characters you can talk to learn. Oh, I believe if I talk to this guy, he'll tell me about Stanley, which is another town. Oh, Pharaohs and Stanley. So he's saying the Pharaoh's army has been encroaching, threatening upon Stanley, inland town to the north. And now if I go north, there's Stanley. So there's this whole war arc going on with Stanley and Pharaohs right now. There's two cities. And you can actually participate in that war mini game that Chow mentioned with these two cities. So this is the guy who has a sister over in Pharaohs. Now I can go to Pharaohs. So,
I'd like try to keep up.
yeah, but I played this game enough that I kind of remember like how to unlock different places. But I think that pretty much covers it in terms of like explaining how the like structure of the game works. You can kind of go to any one of these cities that I've talked about, and different events take place, and you can proceed through them, and the storyline emerges from that, but it's not really like front to back
Linear.
right. And so it involves a lot of just running around, talking to people, exploring the dungeons that appear, and seeing what happens.
To me, the way it's described makes it sound like it's and this is meant to be like in a good way, not like a negative way, but like side mission the game. Like
Kinda.
it seems like you're doing the sort of stuff that I would consider a side mission and other stuff, but that's the kind of hook of it.
There are like four main dungeons you have to go through to get to the end of the game, and eventually you'll stumble across them. So those are effectively like your main missions. But unlike, let's just say, a Western open world game where here's your main quest and here's how to follow it, you kind of have to find it first. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you kind of have to have a bit of wanderlust. Like
Yeah,
you
do.
can't be just told like the objective is this. You just gotta say like, oh, Pharos, that place is interesting. I'm gonna hang out there and talk to
Yep.
people.
You
or
have
whatever.
to. You have to just kind of. It's really exploration driven rather than
Narrative driven.
Exactly. So
Is Saga
Uh,
Scarlet Grace like this as well?
Like I said, it's got like a similar
Sorta.
philosophy in terms of once you go on the map, you can go anywhere. But
There's one
with some
character like
limitations.
that.
There's
one
there's
group.
some structure, yeah, especially Leonardo.
Also, Scarlet Grace doesn't have any dungeons.
Oh, that's yeah. It's all battles. It's all world map and battles. Let me just do one more thing. Talk to this person.
Hey, we can recruit that guy in the bottom right.
Oh yeah, that guy is recruitable. Yep. I think Ellen hangs out in this city. If you're not playing as her. With all the bandits running about, I dare not leave these city walls. So you bring these items to me to Yarmouth? Sure. All right, let's go to Yarmouth.
Oh wait, he just immediately put you on the road.
Yep. Thieves. No.
Good thing they're drunk.
Don't
Oh, no, that guy's got a beat on you.
run into me. I could fight him, but I want to. That was a quick 1,000 arms. All right. I'm
That
now in
seems
Yarmouth. So I'm now in another, like, this is actually like a black market port town. So there's a couple of different events that, like, you have to go to the black market here to find, like, items that are, like, contraband or whatever. And there's actually a little side story here with some people, like, doing some drug deals or weapon deals or something.
Oh, he's fine.
Hey, it's Batman.
Local Batman.
Robin, clever.
He has his own theme music. Okay. What's kind of funny about Ellen, and this is actually I find kind of interesting, is Ellen, a couple of times she will like have like words that kind of indicate she has something of like a country accent. She said just there, is he important or something? Like without the G. And then earlier he like she said to the little kid like, "Yeah, did good." And that's sort of like flavor to the dialogue I kind of like. It's not overbearing, like for example in the original Seiken Densetsu 3 that was translated, where Charlotte speaks in a baby voice all the time. So I think it's nice that Ellen kind of has like a few quirks in her dialogue, but it's not like overbearing. Here's Robin again.
Ellen's coming across as very much as kind of like, and I mean this in a good way, like a Vaughn, like Final Fantasy 12, like kind of like not an important like standing character, more like an every person.
Yeah, she is.
I don't know if that ends up being true, but
That
that's
guy's
how it's coming
trying.
across.
And so like dialogue like this is actually different for each character. So Ellen is not really too impressed by Robin. That guy's trying.
Is there
so
like
hard.
some character that's like enamored?
I think
so
Julian
cool.
likes him. He's like, wow, he's cool. Yeah. Let me just do one last event here. This Robin event. This is the black market shop. I don't think he's. We know he's a black market shop yet. We can figure that out later. Oh yeah, I guess it is drug deals. Even conspire with monsters. That's enough manure from your mouth, you little twerp. You're just beating up this guy.
Nope.
Here's Robin.
This guy's the protagonist now.
Oh, that would be cool.
If you notice, actually, that Robin sprite is fatter than the other Robin. I'm gonna spoil it right now. That's a fake Robin.
Is he gonna get beaten up? Oh,
I guess he's too tough to get beaten up. But he falls into the barrel.
I guess he's screwed. Wow, savages.
They just decided very quickly to burn him. Is all hope lost? Here's the real Robin.
Yeah, he's definitely less fat than the other one.
How did he make that jump? Kudos on a job well
He
done,
floats.
stand-in Robin. Curses, what the heck is
I like-
going on here? Why are there two Robins? And now we do some battles.
Oh, I wish they were in your party.
I think actually, if I didn't have a 5-person party, Robin would have been in the party because he is definitely.
That's cool.
If you didn't guess, he is definitely a recruitable character, and he's also actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's kind of cute.
And I have the blacksmith girl off me because I ran into her beforehand, and I made up with Sarah really quick, so that's why she's in my party. Some monsters. And what's actually kind of funny is you can recruit either Robin or Fat Robin into your party, and they're basically the same person.
I like how this game allows itself to be like irreverent to some extent, or just allows itself to be goofy.
So that character, like I said before, that character is recruitable, and she will force her way into your party if you let her. And she actually shows up in various.
Does she always like chase you? That's kind of what it looks like.
Yes, I've never used her. I think
It's like one of the worst character in the game, in my opinion.
This game is so weird. It's cool.
I don't think I'll be able to recruit him because I think I'm full.
I love how the turn down option was spare us the antics.
Yeah. And now I have Robin in my party.
What's his specialty?
I think he's a rapier, and I think he has a water magic. Yep, water magic.
I like how was that his class at the top? It said Masked Crusader.
Or wind magic, actually. Blue is wind magic. Oh yeah, so each character has like a different title.
Like a title.
So Ellen, Sarah, Thomas, and Julian are kind of all the same. They're kind of a group of 4. So they're all Xenon settlers, but Khalid's a royal nomad, craftsman, masked crusader. It doesn't like mean anything. It's just sort of flavor text. So with that, I think that's about everything I wanted to show with Romancing Saga 3. Was there any lingering questions about anything I saw or you saw today that you're curious about?
Not any questions, but it does make me, even though I know it might not be completely comparable, it does make me more interested in the upcoming Saga game, even if it's a different flavor of the same thing.
But yeah, I don't really know what Square Enix's like long-term plan is with this quote ongoing Saga project that they're doing, but I'm kind of here for it. And obviously, Saga Frontier Remastered is the next step in that project, and I'm really excited to play it for the first time finally, because I really like Romancing Saga 3 here, and I really like some of the other games in the series, so I'm really eager to try it out.
I just hope it just lets them remaster Saga Frontier 2.
Yeah, hopefully. And with that, thank you for joining me today, everyone.
Thanks for showing it off.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing me Robin. That was that bit has just stuck with me. I don't know why. Obviously,
it's fun. But with that, we'll bring the video to a close and join us next time for the next casual mode. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
See you, everyone.
Later.
Later.